In the Unresolved Problems segment tonight, guns in America. For 25 hours, Congressional Democrats staged a chaotic and unprecedented sit-in on the House floor, demanding votes on gun control legislation. It brought tempers to a boiling point, with one Republican representative lashing out at them in the middle of the protest.
Talking about radical Islam. Kill these poor people.
No fly, no gun. No fly, no gun. No fly, no gun. No fly, no gun.
Meanwhile, House Speaker Paul Ryan tried to paint the Democrats' sit-in as nothing more than a political stunt.
They are not trying to actually get this done through regular order. No, instead, they're staging protests. They're trying to get on TV. They are sending out fundraising solicitations, like this one.
Joining us now from Nashville with reaction, Chip Saltzman, a former campaign manager for Governor Mike Huckabee, and from Austin, Texas, Democratic strategist Marjorie Clifton. Now, Marjorie, I saw that very big drama, House floor sit-in, looked like Zuccotti Park a couple years ago. But at the end, they left, and guess what's happening? Not much is happening. What did they accomplish by this big theater?
I think visibility, and I think Democrats largely know they don't have the power, they don't have the numbers right now to get anything done. And for someone like John Lewis, he only uses his political capital when it really matters, like in the civil rights movement, to take that and take to the floor means that this is an issue that is important. And if we can't get anything done in Congress, then we've got to get people fired up about it and let them know what's going on.
Marjorie, listen, but tell me this. What proposed gun legislation that the Democrats brought both to the Senate and to the House, what proposed legislation would have changed Orlando? None of them.
Well, I think it's all large of a bigger puzzle. Orlando is absolutely another unfortunate event that is drawing visibility to what is a national crisis. I mean, you have everyone from the commander of the International Armed Forces Services, McChrystal, who's even calling people to say we need to do something. Inaction is not an option, because we lost 18 times more people in the U.S. from 2001 to 2010 to gun violence than we lost in the Iraq and Afghanistan together. So that is not acceptable.
No, Marjorie, we can do these numbers till we're blue in the face. There's about 10,000 people are killed by gun. Half of them are suicides. It's about 5,000. It pales in comparison to the other ways to die in America. I got to bring Chip in. Hold on. I know you want to jump in, but Chip, this no fly, no buy chant they're chanting, it wouldn't have affected San Bernardino, and it wouldn't have affected Orlando. So what are they going for here?
Well, they're going for publicity. They're going for fundraising. Look, I give them credit. The Democrats do what they do the best. They sit on their butts, they do nothing, and blame somebody else. That's what they've been doing in the Congress for a long time. That's why they're in the minority, because they're not doing anything. This is all about fundraising. I'm guarantee you right now, all the Democrats, let's give them credit. They worked for a whole 25 hours on this, and now they're in Washington and New York and San Francisco raising money on this issue, and that's what it was all about. And I think Speaker Ryan nailed it when he talked about it. And I said, I hope the Speaker had turned this sit-in into a lock-in, turn out the lights, lock the doors, and go home and see how long they last. Not very long.
Marjorie, hundreds upon hundreds of innocent people are being killed on the streets of Chicago every single year. Tell me what legislation would change that, and why aren't they targeting that rather than worrying about someone being on a no-fly list?
Well, that actually is some of the things that they proposed. So some of the things that they proposed was universal background checks that would apply to gun shows and internet sales.
How does that stop a gangbanger in the street of Chicago from shooting someone else? He's not going to be able to get his hands on a gun?
Because if you have a criminal record, it means you're being checked at every place that you can buy a gun. So what it does is take a lot of guns off the streets, and absolutely having people who are...
It also takes guns out of people who are trying to defend themselves. Poor people in Chicago, in St. Louis, in Los Angeles, poor people, if you raise the cost of a gun by requiring a $50, $75, $80 background check, they won't be able to afford guns to protect themselves.
But Eric, most of the stories we hear are not about people who are shot protecting themselves, but people who are shot as victims, people who are shot as a victim of violent crime. Shot behind the head, shot running away, not in situations where they happen to have a gun handy and were able to pull it out at gunpoint. So I think the question is, how do we take it out of the hands of criminals? How do we take it out of the hands of people who have known terrorist records or terrorist ties? In the U.S. right now, the number of people who are on the no-fly list, this is American citizens, is 2,700 people. But there are 50,000 people on that list who are not American citizens who are on that watch list who can buy guns in the U.S. That is a simple measure that communicates communicates a concern, a bipartisan concern, and I think those steps are important.
Chip, Marjorie points out the violent crime perpetrated on innocent Americans. However, this Mateen guy, Joker in Orlando, stood up, pledged his allegiance to al-Baghdadi, ISIS, yelled Allahu Akbar, and shot the place up. That's not a violent crime. That's a terrorist act. That's right, and we've done nothing to stem radical Islam in this country, and that's where the real fight is. And Congressman Gomer was right. This isn't about guns. This is about terrorism in our streets, in our cities, and the Congress have done nothing. The career politicians in Washington have been sitting on their hands under the leadership of President Obama, and ISIS and radical Islam has now entered our country, and that's where they need to be focused on. All right, Chip, Marjorie, great debate. Hot debate always with the guns.